Hello students, this is Sulekh Sharma from Department of Computer Sciences and Engineering, ECB College Bikaner. Today we are going to discuss our experiment number 1 as Findus algorithm, how we are going to implement it. Before going for the implementation, first you need to understand what is Findus algorithm, how does it work. For that we have to review some basic concepts of machine learning, namely concept learning and hypothesis. If we talk about learning, it is simply about how you are gaining knowledge with your experiences, with your practice, or how you have been taught. And for human based learning, there are a number of methods that we generally follow to learn a particular thing. These are some basic learning methods that a human generally follows to keep learn to understand the concepts or to get the things into their mind. The first one that is generally we use with the kids also is rote learning method. That means we just memorize the things without understanding what is behind it. Another method is passive learning, in which an instructor or teacher instructs you that this thing will be done by this is done and like that, so it is a part of passive learning. Analogy type of learning, where we generally learn some new things based upon what we have learned earlier, based upon our past experience. Inductive learning is a type of learning where we try to generalize a thing by looking at multiple specific thing. For example, if you have shown some pictures of birds, like you will say that if it is have that a duck is look like, it's white in color and it has feathers, or sparrow look like that. Similarly, if you have got a picture that has some features resembling with all of the bird images that you have seen earlier, we will generally refer to as that it is a bird. So it is how we are generalizing the concept. So it is known as inductive learning. So, and deductive learning is when we are having some past facts but we want to draw some new facts, we want to derive or we want to make some new facts from whatever we have learned earlier. These are different types of learning techniques that are generally used by human, and we we want to make our machines, we want our machines to learn, so we try to implement some of the learning methods out of these. Again, just to make you understand, when you learn by memorizing, when a person learn by memorizing without looking at its concept behind. Another method is when you have been taught by someone else and you just follow the instructions. Again, you are not thinking, you may or may not thinking actually. Analogy is when you just compare that, yes, it looks similar to that and it is analogous to that, so we learn new things based upon our past experience. Inductive learning is when we are having some experience of various things and we want to generalize for a concept based upon our past experience. And deductive learning is when we are trying to get some new facts from the past facts. So today we are going to focus on our inductive learning methods, how machines could follow our inductive learning method to generalize a concept, right? Inductive learning is also known by another name known as concept learning. As in case of concept learning, we try to generalize a concept. Basically, what is a concept over here is, a concept is it is anything that you are going to learn. For example, if we were considering the example of that you have been shown images and you want to tell whether it is a bird or not. So to judge the image as a bird is a concept. So we'll simply say that it is a bird. Yes, it is not a bird. No. in general cases we just make concept as a boolean function where we get a value of yes or no, right? When when humans are getting their concepts generalized from the past experience, they are having a set of features in their mind, some properties based upon which they generalize the concept, the properties on which you could say that yes, this is a picture of bird. So this is the thing that comes under your concept learning, that a set of features. And when you are having multiple when we were saying that we are having multiple images of birds, that has been told to you that this is a bird and this is not a bird, and after that you will be given a image, then you will realize, then you will classify it as whether it is a bird or not, then you will understand the concept of how bird look like. So based upon the features that we are having and based upon the training examples, those images that has been given to you where it was written that it is a bird and it is not a bird was the training example. These things we have learned a number of time, what are training examples, what are training instances. So this way we learn a particular concept. And if we talk about the formal definition of concept learning, it is just a boolean valued function that have a value of true, false or yes or no based upon the training examples of input and output, as we have discussed in our example. Also the same has been written over here. Generally we classify our example based upon the output as positive and negative examples. For example, if we are saying that this is a bird, we'll say it is a positive example. In case that your concept is to learn about whether it is a bird, or the concept is about to generalize the picture as bird or not, right? And if it is the reverse, that you want to tell it's not a bird, then you will take the another case as positive and vice versa. Similarly, one method how we are generalizing the concept in our concept learning is by considering or by searching a space of whatever ideas you are having earlier, so that we could have a general concept of how you could say that this particular picture is of a bird or of not a bird, or your example is giving you a positive result or a negative result, right? So today what we are going to do is, based upon your training samples, we are going to generalize our concept with the help of an algorithm that is known as Findas algorithm, and that is simply to search among your training example for that particular concept that will be termed as your hypothesis, that will be represented as your hypothesis, that will give you a combination of features, so that it could help you to understand whether this is a bird or not a bird, will be done with the help of algorithm known as Findas algorithm. So as we are saying that we need to search from a predefined space of hypothesis, so let us understand what is a hypothesis first. We have discussed this earlier also in various lectures. Again, a formal definition, if we talk in term, see, hypothesis is a word that has a basic meaning, like what idea we are having or what we are thinking is true is termed as hypothesis, but it has different meanings in general in different domains. So in our machine learning, we compare our hypothesis with a model that gives you an idea of what your target function should look like by mapping between input and outputs. Again, when I have given you a set of pictures to tell whether this is a bird or not, what we will say that if it is having feathers, if it is having a beak, then you will say it is a bird. So a hypothesis in this particular case could be set of rules that you are making, right? It could be a combination of features that you are making. So how this hypothesis actually look like depend on the problem or depending on the way that problem is dealing with. In our case, we are having a hypothesis as we are saying, it will be a model that will tell you, that will approximate to a target function. Now the target function over here is to judge whether this picture is of bird or not. That can be evaluated. If you think that these are the features and you will say it is a bird, then we will check it for a new image that is not in your training examples, for whether your hypothesis is correct or not, whether your hypothesis can make predictions correctly or not, right? And it is not compulsory that each of you will have same rules for identifying a picture of bird, right? Or all of you will have same hypothesis that could help you to tell whether the image is of bird or not. All the hypotheses that could lead you to the correct classification of your example or generalization, correct generalization of the concept, will be termed as hypothesis space. So all the hypotheses that we are currently having for a particular example, that helps you to map input to the output, out of which we have to search for our correct hypothesis that could lead you to recognize the image as bird or not, will be termed as hypothesis space. So again, hypothesis is just a set of rules, or it could be a combination of features, or it could be any mathematical function that could help you to judge whether your test instance, or whether the new image that you are going to check is of bird or not. So that particular rules, as I am saying, there may not be only one rule that could tell you that this is a bird. There could be a set of rules, as in your DBMS also. If we want to assign a key as primary key, we could have multiple options for making a key as primary key, and all those keys are known as candidate keys. So over here also we could have multiple hypotheses. All these candidates of hypothesis, all these candidate models that could lead you to the correct generalization, are termed as hypothesis. And this hypothesis can be in any form. It could be in form of rules, it could be in form of if and else, it could be in form of mathematical function, it could be a equation, as you have studied in linear regression also. So these all are your hypothesis, and all the set of hypothesis that is possible for a particular problem, all the set of this particular possible hypothesis is termed as hypothesis space. I hope this thing is clear to you now. If we talk in context of our concept learning, how we are connecting our hypothesis to our concept learning, we have to give some terminology, we have to give some, we should assign some variables to a particular thing. Like capital X generally represent your training instances, a set of all the samples that you are having to learn the concept. Our concept function is simply, as we were saying, that in concept learning, a concept is a Boolean function that gives you a value of true or false, or 0 or 1. So a concept function in our concept learning will be represented with the small c, such that for any training sample it will give you a value of 0 or 1. Another capital H will be used to designate a hypothesis space, and small h will be used to designate hypothesis corresponding to your particular problem, such that our target concept is learned properly. So please do not get confused with these words. You have to just understand what we have to do in case of concept learning. Our whole sole goal is to find that hypothesis that could map to our target function, that could generalize our concept, that could help you to judge whether the new image that is in front of you is of bird or not. You have to find that particular hypothesis, and this goal is written as h of x is equal to c of x for all x, small x in x. Over here capital X is representing the set of training instances, small x is representing one training instances. When we apply a function that we are referring to as our hypothesis should give the same value that an actual function is giving you when applying to that particular example. This is our goal, so that we could find that particular hypothesis that work similar to our target concept, right? It may be 100% correct that you reach to a hypothesis that is exactly same as your concept function, it is giving the same result, but it is not necessary that if hypothesis that has been selected by you will give same result in all the unseen cases, on all the unseen instances. But our goal is to find such an hypothesis that could work for that particular case, for those unseen examples, as well as it was doing with the training samples, right? So in machine learning also we generally design a model, we just train it and we just test it. The same thing we are going to done over here, but our goal over here will be to find a hypothesis that helps you to achieve your target concept, to generalize your concept. Now in case of concept learning, we are going to consider this example to understand how concept learning actually work, how we could search a particular hypothesis with respect to this particular example. Over here we have shown a number of attributes like sky, air temperature, humidity, wind, water, forecast, and it has been written a number of values over here, and based upon these attributes we need to tell whether on a particular day we will enjoy the sport or not. So these are the training samples that has been given to you. So over here your x, capital X will be all the instances and single x will be any one row that you are referring. So what our motto is, if I apply my hypothesis on this single instance, it should give the same value as it is giving over here. That is, in actual case our concept function when apply on the values of x is giving you a y. So our hypothesis also give you a y when we are searching for our hypothesis. So this is our goal, how we are going to find a hypothesis that returns same value as our actual function is returning. We don't know what our actual function is, we don't know what our hypothesis is, but we try to approximate our hypothesis nearly close to the target function by searching from possibilities, a huge set of possibilities, a huge set of hypotheses that we are having, to reach to our target concept without having a knowledge of what our target function. For example, if it is an equation, we don't know what is that equation actually. We are just trying to have the idea of a hypothesis from just the combination of features that we are having. So this is how we are going to proceed in our concept learning. In this particular case, when we are searching our hypothesis is represented with the help of sets which which is a combination of number of attribute values possible for each of the attributes. For example, in our particular case, the hypothesis small h that we need to find out, our goal is to find out that hypothesis small h that is relevant to our example, that approximates our target concept, target function, and that hypothesis will be a combination of attribute values. Not all, but for one attribute it will have one value. How this is going to work, let us understand. First, there are three possible values that an attribute could have in a hypothesis. Now we are saying that hypothesis will be a set consisting of any value for a particular attribute. Over here we are having 6 attributes, so it will be a combination of 6 values from all those attributes. Not all the values at a time, one value at a time. But apart from this one value, that we are considering as domain or the possibilities of values for that particular attribute. Apart from it, it could have two more values that has been designated with question mark and 0. Question mark generally refer to your don't care term, that whatever is the value of this particular attribute will give us the result same as your target function. For example, if this is the case, I could say that if my sky is sunny, my humidity is high, water is warm, I will enjoy my sport. But if you listen carefully, I have just given you the values of 3 variables or 3 attributes: sky, humidity and water. I have not considered any value for air temp, wind and forecast. That means there could be any value for air temp, wind and forecast. I am just saying that based upon these 3 values, and for any value of other remaining 3 attributes, I will have a positive reply or a value of yes for the enjoy sport. Right? So this is what I have designed my hypothesis to be. And how I have learned this hypothesis is with the help of algorithm that is known as find S algorithm. I hope it is clear. Let us have some more clarity about this. As it is written over here, you could see that for sky a value has been taken as sunny, for airtime it is question mark, for humidity is a question mark, for wind it is a strong. So this particular hypothesis is telling you that for these 3 attributes, if I am having a value of sunny, strong and same, and for other attributes it could be any value, you will get to know that yes, it is a bird. Right? So these are our hypothesis that we need to search, that we need to reach upon, that we need to find out. So we could have a number of possibilities over here. Of course, for a sky, I could have a number of values possible. For example, I could have sunny, I could have rainy, one more possibility could be there. Similarly, for temperature it could be high, normal, humidity also. For wind we could have some more values. So for each of the attributes, number of values are possible, and based upon number of values I could have a number of combination possible, and all those combinations is making your hypothesis space in our concept learning. Because we were saying that in concept learning a hypothesis is shown with the combination of attribute values. Like over here all the combination that are possible with all the values of the attributes will make your hypothesis space. Now out of those hypothesis space, which is the one that fits to your example, that will help you to tell whether the picture will be of bird or not, whether you are going to enjoy your sport or not. What is that particular set of rules or combination of attribute values that is going to tell you is represented with the hypothesis, and that particular combination is given with the values as well as some question mark, or it may be some another value that is represented by 0, as we were having over here, that 0 is indicating no value is acceptable for the attribute. That means no value. That means if you will have a 0 in that particular attribute for the particular as a value of that attribute, it is not acceptable. That means it will considered as no value. As we were saying, a question mark tell you that any value could suffice for your hypothesis to be true, but if we are having a 0, we could say that we cannot have any value that could make your hypothesis true. So for all the possibilities, that is having 0 in any of the attribute case will negate your hypothesis. So these are some possible values that an attribute could have in our hypothesis. Now if we say that all are question marks, right, then that particular combination of question mark is known as most general hypothesis. The word is general we are using because any value of any attribute could make you give a yes for your enjoy sport. So whatever value of any of the attribute you are having, it will give you always a yes for your enjoy sport. And that is the most general thing, because we are not fixing, we are not specifying any of the attribute value. This type of combination of question mark in all the attributes is known as most general hypothesis. And the reverse, when we are having zeros in all the places, that means no value in any of whatever value you take, and any of the attribute will not let you enjoy your sport, or they will not give you a value of yes, will not give you a positive example. That means no day will be positive, no day is suitable for sport, is known as most specific, because we are not having any specific value that I could found for any particular attribute to judge my concept as a true or false, right? So as we were saying that our concept is a value of true false, the most general hypothesis, that means any value of a attribute could give you a positive result, is known as most general hypothesis. And on the reverse side, if all the attributes are having 0, will give you tell you that no day is positive in with no combination, or there is no any value for which you could say that the result is positive, is known as most specific hypothesis. And somewhere in between these two lies your hypothesis that fits to your example, where some are question marks and some are the values that are from the domains of these particular attributes. I hope you all know about the domains. Like we have written over here that for attribute sky we could have 3 possible values: sunny, cloudy and rainy. So these 3 values make the domain of sky. Similarly, for all other attributes, some values has been written over here. So our hypothesis either could have a question mark for a particular attribute, or could have the value that comes from its domain. For example, for sky, our hypothesis could have either sunny or cloudy or rainy or question mark or 0. So for each attribute 5 value, for sky attribute 5 values are possible. Similarly, for air temp also these 2 values plus 1 question mark and 0 is possible. So if we look at the domains of all these attributes, we could have a number of combinations possible with these values. How many combinations are possible and how many are of our interest, let us see. Now over here again we have just designated our variables, that capital H is giving you a hypothesis space and small h is giving you our resulting hypothesis. Again, each hypothesis will be described by conjunction, means a combination. That means all values when gives you a true can only tell whether it is true, otherwise we cannot say. Means if you are having a value of sunny for sky, for value of humidity as normal, value of warm for water, and for all others we are having a question mark, then in our new example or in our test example, when we are having these 3 values as the same as we have decided in our hypothesis, then we will say that the result will be same as your concept function. Otherwise we will say will not get our result, or we could say that our hypothesis is not correct, that is matching to your result that it should be. Training examples again, as we have seen in our example, and target concept function will again a boolean valued function that will give you a value of 0 or 1 when we'll apply to our training instances. Now if we try to find out the number of hypotheses in our hypothesis space, as I have discussed you, that for all the attributes the number of values possible are coming from their domain. As we have considered an example of sky, we were having 3 values that could occur in a hypothesis plus 2 more values that we are having for question mark and 0. So in total, the total number of hypotheses that are syntactically distinct is your 5120, right? It is simply a permutation combination that we generally use. So based upon these values, we could have this number of hypotheses possible, out of which you need to find out the specific hypothesis small h that could satisfy your target function, that could approximate your target function, that is nearest to your true target function. But if we talk about semantically distinct, it means then, as we say that any value any attribute that is having a value of 0 is not going to give you a correct result, because we say we don't know what is the value, what should be the value, so we cannot say that this hypothesis will be correct. So we are not considering the symbols for 0, so we are left with 4 possibilities for each of the attribute, but that need to be considered for our hypothesis. But again, the most specific hypothesis could also be a possibility. We are adding a 1 over here for that. So in total, our hypothesis space, out of which we are going to find out our specific hypothesis, is actually 973. Now if we were considering, as I told you in the start of the concept learning, that our task is to find or to search that particular hypothesis that satisfied our concept or that approximate our target function. So this is the number of hypotheses that are possible. These are the number of combinations of the attributes that are possible making your hypothesis. Out of these 973, you need to find that one small h that tells you that this is our correct hypothesis, that helps you to approximate your target function. Now since this is a finite hypothesis space, it may take a less time, but consider if you are having a large number of attributes, if you are not having finite number of attribute values. For example, for sky we are having 3 values possible. There may be some attributes for which we could not have finite number of values. What we will do in that case? How we are going to search for that particular situation when we are having infinite hypothesis spaces? Infinite hypothesis space, that means infinite number of hypotheses. How we are going to search our particular hypothesis? This is our problem, for which we are going to design our algorithms to find our specific hypothesis out of those hypothesis space of either finite number of hypotheses or infinite number of hypotheses. How you are going to find out? So first thing you need to keep in mind that we are always using our concept learning algorithm for the categorical values, right? And it will give you our target function in terms of Boolean value only. These two things should remain in your mind. So keeping these things, we will proceed with our finders algorithm. Before that, one more concept that our hypothesis relate to is general to specific ordering of the hypothesis. It might look very confusing to you, but you need to understand. You must have studied about the posets in your discrete structure, where it is known as partially ordered set. As we are saying, our hypotheses are sets. When we are going to search our sets, starting from the most general one to the most specific one, we may encounter a number of steps that lie somewhat lower, somewhat little specific to general, but more general to our specific hypothesis. Again I am repeating, if we are searching, see, whenever you are going to get your hypothesis will always lie between your most general, that was shown by the question mark in all the places, and a 0 in all the places, that is a specific hypothesis. So these are two boundaries of your hypothesis in between which you are going to get your hypothesis. Now that particular hypothesis will be most specific in context to your example, but it is not most specific in any context, as we are referring our most specific hypothesis with all zeros. So that particular most specific in context of your example is not termed as most specific, it is termed as maximal specific. If you remember from your POSETs, you were having some terms like least upper bound, the highest value for a particular context but not for all the space. For all the hypothesis that you are having, our most general hypothesis is all the question mark. But if we consider our training instances, we could have a general hypothesis as well, but it is not with all the question mark. We could have some values in it also, and it will be termed that here minimal general hypothesis and maximal specific. It is something like, it is a value of maximum but in the current context only, not for all the hypotheses that we are having, not for all the cases that we could consider. The most specific will be have a value of 0, or the most general will be have the value of question mark. But for maximal specific, we could have some values with the question mark, and the same could also refer to as your minimal general hypothesis. This is what we talk about general to specific ordering. Whenever we are given a hypothesis space, we are having a set of hypotheses. For example, we want to compare two hypotheses, H1 and H2. Which one is more general is the relationship that generally exists among various hypotheses. For example, if we consider over here that H1 is having a hypothesis, H1 is a hypothesis that is having a value of sunny, then other two question mark, then we are having a strong, then other two question mark. Similarly, H2 is a hypothesis that is having a value of sunny and other having question mark. So in which of these hypotheses more possibilities are possible, more values are possible? Clearly in case of H2, you could have, we are not fixing the value of strong in H2, that means more combinations that are possible from H2 rather than H1. How combination? For over here your sunny and strong will be fixed, right? But in question mark you could put all the possible values for the attributes, like for over here 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, that will be the possibilities along with the fixed values. But over here 2 to the 4 to the 8 to the 16 we could say roughly, and over here we could have 32. So in H2, if we are going to put our values, if for the testing instance, if you are going to check, see, if you are given a test instance in which some values are given, for each of the instance you will check whether the value of sky is sunny, and for all others whatever is the value of the attribute, you will simply say that yes, your day you will enjoy the sport on that day. Similarly, if we talk about H1, that H1 is your specific hypothesis that you have find out, that you have searched and you have get in result. Then for two attributes you need to fix for sunny and strong, and others could have many values. So we could say H1 is little more specific than H2, or in other words we could say H2 is rather more general than H1. This was the term that we were using, general and specific. So please don't get confused. When more of the examples are classified with the help of hypothesis, it is termed as more general than the other one that is able to classify a less number of examples, right? So clearly from H1 and H2, your H2 is going to classify more positives or more target concepts than your H1, and hence we will say that H2 will H2 is more generalized than your H1. We could also view on this more general than relationship with the help of greater than and equal to sign. We will say a hypothesis is more general than another hypothesis if and only if it is more general than equal to and the other thing is false. How this particular thing is going to help you is when, as I say, that your hypothesis space will always be bounded between most general, that is question mark at every place, and between most specific, that is at 0 at every place. Somewhere in between you could find your hypothesis. For example, you have decided that this hypothesis is going to get me the result, as we have discussed in previous slide, for H1 and H2, and H2 could also be the possibility. So out of these two, which is more general that you could consider, or which is more specific that could help you to have your target concept? Out of these two, you will consider only one based upon this more general than relation concept, because that general or more general hypothesis is including the first one itself, right? So we will go for that hypothesis that is more general than all other that you have found out. Now see, this is not always the case that we have to find out our more general hypothesis, or we need not to consider our most specific hypothesis. Is basically depend on the algorithm that you are using. The algorithm that we are using today is FindS algorithm that works by starting it with your most specific hypothesis, and at last you will find your maximal specific hypothesis. Again, try to understand the difference between most specific and maximal specific. Most specific is any value for all the attribute is possible. This is your most general hypothesis in every case. But for your particular example, when you are scanning your training instances one by one, at the end you will get a hypothesis in which some are values and some are question mark. That is most specific in your context of the training samples that you have gone through. So that particular hypothesis that you have been searched for will be termed as maximal, but not most specific hypothesis. So it is somewhat similar to your least upper bound, that we are finding most specific hypothesis, but in context of the example, that is just for example, if we say that 3 is greater than 2, 4 is also greater than 2, right? So 4 is like your most general hypothesis and 3 is like your maximal hypothesis. Similarly, the case goes for your most specific and your most specific, maximal specific for your general and minimal general hypothesis. How we are going to do this in your FindS algorithm is simply start with your question mark at all the places. When you will read first training instance, you will simply replace those question mark with all the values that you have read in training instance. But what the fact that you need to keep in mind is you need to check only for the positive examples. If you encountered a positive example, only then you will update your hypothesis. If it is a negative example, you will not do anything with your hypothesis. You will not change anything in your hypothesis. Again, do not get confused with that hypothesis word. It is simply a combination of attribute values for all the particular attributes. So simply what you need to do is you need to start with question mark at all the places in the set, a hypothesis that you are going to find out. And again, when you read your first training instance, you will simply replace all the question mark with all the values of those attributes that you encountered in your training instance. Only if your training instance is a positive example, it is giving you a yes value in your target function. Again, in next iteration, you will read your next training instance. If the next training instance is having same values that you are having in your hypothesis, there will be no change. If it is having any value changed, that means you will simply put a question mark in your hypothesis and you will update it. Need not to worry if you are not getting the thing. We will consider an example also. Find-S algorithm will search an hypothesis from your hypothesis space, starting with the most specific hypothesis that pertains to your first training example, and it will able to find out maximal specific hypothesis at the end of all iterations, all reading of all the training instances that is occurring. Third thing, it is only considering the hypothesis updation for positive examples only. Whatever hypothesis you are getting after reading of all the training instances could be applied on the testing instance to check whether you are having a right value or not. So this is a simply step giving you the steps that we could follow in Find-S algorithm. First, you would initialize it to the most specific hypothesis, that is your, it could start with your 0 0 0, and for each positive training instance, whenever you encountered a value for a particular attribute, you will simply change it by the next more general constraint that you are getting, most general attribute value. As we were saying, most general is any value is possible. So whenever you are encountering with a changed value in your hypothesis, you will replace it with the more general option, and this you need to go on until you are over with your training sample. So it will contain the number of iterations equal to the number of training samples in your algorithm. This is the example how we are going to start. See, we have initialized our hypothesis with the zeros at all the place. You could start with another way also, that you are having question mark in all the places. Whatever your initial value of the hypothesis need to update, because in the first training instance we are going to get it more specific. Whatever initial value of hypothesis you are going to designate, whether it is most specific or most general, it really doesn't matter, because in first iteration you will have all the values that are encountered in your first training instance, or the first positive training instance will be replaced in your hypothesis. As we have seen over here, that we have initialized it to the most specific. When we read our first example, since it is a positive example, it is giving you a yes. What I will do, I will replace all the values in our hypothesis. That means my hypothesis will be updated to this one: sunny, warm, normal, strong, warm, same for sky, temperature, humidity, wind, water, and forecast. In next sample, when I'll read our second case, it is a yes, it is a positive sample, it is a positive training instance. So I will compare this value with my hypothesis that I have updated. Now sunny match with sunny, you will write as it is. Your warm match with warm, you will write as it is. Your high and normal, that means in this training instance it will give you a value of sport. That means either humidity is normal or high, doesn't matter, it will give you a positive result. That's why we are replacing it with a question mark. That's why we were referring this question mark to a don't care term. So in other attributes also we are having the same value, strong, warm, and same. Now till this step, whatever are the values specified in this hypothesis will give you a positive result. That means when your sky is sunny, temperature is warm, and wind is strong, water is warm, and forecast is same, you are going to enjoy the sport on that day. This is what we mean by our hypothesis. For humidity, you could have either normal value, either high value, doesn't really matter, and it will give you a positive result. This is what we mean by our general, more general value, that this question mark is more general than your normal, and normal is specific because we are fixing it, specifying it that your humidity should be normal. Only then you could have a enjoy sport as a yes. But if we are replacing it with a question mark, that means whatever value is there for the humidity doesn't really matter, you are going to enjoy the sport on that day. Similarly, you need to go for third training instance. Since it is a negative training instance, you will do nothing. For the fourth training instance, you will again compare with your training instance hypothesis, that sunny is matching with sunny, warm is matching with warm, that means it will remain same in your hypothesis. Now this humidity has turned to question mark, we need not to consider it again. For strong and strong, it will remain same. For cool and warm, it could be any value, so it will be turned to a question mark again. And for change and same, it is also a question mark. So after reading all the instances, the final value of the hypothesis that we are going to get is this one. Now what this hypothesis is telling you, that if my sky is sunny, temperature is warm, your wind is strong, you will always enjoy the sport, despite the fact what are the values for other attributes. This is what we say our hypothesis is. As we have discussed in very start also, that hypothesis is just giving you an idea. A combination of attributes in this particular case is giving you an hypothesis. That means if you want to tell for any test instance that you have given values of attribute, you need to tell whether you are going to enjoy the sport or not. So in these three attributes, if you are getting these three values, these fixed values, you will say that you are going to enjoy your sport. Otherwise you will say no. So for this hypothesis, you will get a true value, and for other values you are going to get a false value, a 0 1 function that we were talking about. So our target function is, we don't know what our target function is, but we assume that our hypothesis is approximating our target function. That helps you to judge whether you are going to enjoy your sport or not, right? So this is how we are going to design our FindS algorithm. I hope it is easier to implement in Python also. So let us look a figure that shows you about how we have considered our FindS algorithm in the instances and how it is working in the hypothesis space. What this diagram is showing you, if you remember, this is similar to the lattice that you have studied in your POSETs also. So these are the hypotheses in your hypothesis space. That shows you that H0 is the most specific hypothesis. That means all the zeros in a place, and H4 and somewhere at the bottom, when we are getting two hypotheses like these 2 points, I showing you two more most general hypothesis. This lattice may grow more also. This lattice could be this lattice is basically showing you all the hypotheses possible. That means all the 973 hypotheses that we have considered for this particular example will make a lattice, out of which, if you know that in a lattice, when we consider the relationship among these points in the lattice, how they are connected to each other is given by your specific or general thing. That H4 is more general than your H2 and 3, H1 is specific than your H2, 3, H0 is more specific than your H1. Now from H2, 3, H0 is most specific, but for maximal specific H1, that we were talking about least upper bound and so on. Similarly, when we go downwards, we are having minimal general also and most general also. So this is how with each training instance your hypothesis is going to change. After considering this algorithm, what do you think, that whether we are proceeding the right way, or is it the right way to search our hypothesis, or we are going to get our hypothesis that is giving you the actual results? The question could come into your mind that we are designing our hypothesis only based upon the training samples that has been given to it. Therefore, 4 training samples we have decided that this should be the hypothesis, right? But as soon as we encounter more training examples, my hypothesis could become more general, and we could have any pair of any value in the attribute is possible. So is it really that we have find out our hypothesis that correctly approximate your target concept, or do we actually do your algorithm actually converge to the correct target concept? It is still a question that your finders algorithm is finding a hypothesis that is consistent with finding the hypothesis that is correct. See, whatever hypothesis we are finding with finders algorithm is correct in the context of training example that has been studied, but when we are going to get some more data, that hypothesis is going to change, that may or may not remain consistent to another examples that has been added. Similarly, why we are referring or why we are preferring to our most specific hypothesis when we are start searching for our finders algorithm? Why we are preferring one hypothesis over the other? We could have a question. If we are saying that the hypothesis that we have find out in this particular case is sunny, warm, question mark, strong, question mark, and question mark, what if we are saying that sunny, warm, and question mark in all the places? Because that is also a hypothesis that is including that hypothesis H4, right? Why we cannot consider another hypothesis that is having a general value in the strong? This is also a question, or we could say a limitation that we are finding with finders algorithm, that it gives us a kind of less generality, and it is giving us a particular hypothesis, although for a particular training sample or for a particular problem a number of similar hypotheses are possible. When we encounter some more training samples, we could encounter with some another hypothesis that is also giving you the correct result. So we could have number of hypotheses possible, but we are sticking to our only one hypothesis just by going through multiple iterations. Another is, what if our training examples are having some noise in it, if they are having errors in it? So obviously what your hypothesis is giving you may be a wrong result because of the noise present in our training samples. So it is highly depending on the noise that we are highly depending on the training samples when we are searching our hypothesis. So noise is obviously going to affect what your result is going to be after searching your hypothesis space. Again, it is a limitation of finders algorithm that it is prone to errors or prone to noise or inconsistency in your training samples. And the last one is, if we are having a number of solution possible for your all the hypothesis, if we are possible with number of maximally specific hypothesis, but we are focusing only one or we are considering only one, this is also a limitation of your finders algorithm. So we will try to eliminate some of them. We will try to find some better solution than your finders algorithm. But till now what you need to do is you need to implement this finders algorithm in your Python by following simply these basic steps of starting with your first hypothesis in your first iteration. Then you will update it by comparing it to your training sample, then again updating, and till when you have to do this is simply until your training samples are exhausted. So it will done with the help of simple for loop in Python. You will just need to compare. For designating or representing your hypothesis, you could go with any sequence type of data type possible. It could be a list, it could be an array, it could be a set, whichever suits you. At the end you should output or you should give the maximal specific hypothesis in the result. You could use the same data set for implementing the finders algorithm. So now let us have a look how we are going to implement it. You just need to keep in mind the steps that we are performing for finders algorithm, and we will write same steps just in Python programming language while implementing in Python. Thank you for listening. In next video we will see the implementation of finders algorithm.